Mike, what about the fact that some consumers are finding themselves harassed by their banks once they've made the claim?
Yeah, very interesting one. So how is this happening? Well, let's maybe explain the difference between what we do and what another claims management company might do. So, other claims management company, get your information, very sketchy information, and then submit a letter of complaint. Let's be absolutely clear. This is hated by the claims management regulator. It's also hated by FOSS. And it's also hated in turn by the FCA. It's not the way you should be doing these things, because it's a very generalistic complaint. It isn't specific to what happened on that day and time, what actually happened when the PPI was sold, and that is actually the crucial thing when you're complaining. It's all about what happened there and then, not a week later, not a month later, not 3 years later, absolutely about what happened at that time. So, if you submit a general complaint as opposed to a specific complaint, there are huge amounts of gaps missing in that information. Now, the rules that apply to how companies or how banks must investigate PPI claims are things called dispute appendix rules. And the one that applies in this particular case is dispute appendix rule 3.2.3G. So what does that mean? Well, what it means that even where a claim has been submitted by a CMC on a consumer's behalf, the bank still have the right to make contact with the consumer to ask them questions about what specifically happened at that time. Now, obviously, the way that we do it is by an ombudsman questionnaire, which is very specific to what happened, where and when and why, how the money was borrowed, whereas a general letter complaint isn't. So you're much more likely to get a phone call if you just do a general letter of complaint or if your CMC does that. However, there are still occasions when banks will phone you. And really, under the rules don't say anywhere that this contact should only be by phone, and what the rule does say is that it shouldn't be used to delay a claim. And my argument and our argument, and it's one that we've reported the Lloyds Banking Group to the FCA for, is that this contact should be minimal. So if there's going to be phone calls, it needs to be no more than 3 times, and if you can't get a customer at that point, the common sense logic thing to do is to ask them to send a letter to you to explain why they need to make contact with you, and then from there we take the claim from there. So at the moment we're kind of campaigning. We know that some of our customers from Lloyds Banking Group have had over 40 phone calls. Ridiculous. So what should you do if you get one of these phone calls? The answer is you say, I'm sorry, I'm not happy to speak to you over the phone. I want you to put the complaint or the extra information you require in writing to me. Once I have that, I will come back and I will give you my answers. But let's be clear, the rule doesn't say anywhere that the contact from the lender to the consumer can only be by phone. It can absolutely be by letter, and common sense and logic would dictate that if you can't get hold of someone after 2 to 3 attempts, what you do is you write them a letter. You should not use this to delay the claim. As I say, our customers get much less of this, but it does happen. But really, for everyone, if you get these calls from the bank, you're under no obligation to take the call. What you can do is just be very firm with them and say, look, I need you to request this information in writing from me. Once I have it, I'll have a look at it, I'll give you my reply, and then I want you to make your decision from there.